Without further ado, I'm going to now introduce, again, the man of the hour, Craig Goldenfarb, who's built an 8-figure law practice in Florida. And Craig Goldenfarb is going to be breaking down for us in the next 20 minutes, how do you create a high-performance work culture, which is one of the absolute secret abilities of Craig Goldenfarb. When you hear stories through the grapevine of the culture that Craig Goldenfarb has built in his office, it is immaculate. I mean, everything is tracked, numbers in every part of the company. So Craig is going to be talking to us, and I'll interject with some questions here and there. How do you build a high performance work culture so your team performs without you? Craig, thank you so much for taking the stage.
Great. So I am going to share screen because I've got like 3 slides to give you some secrets as to what I've learned and how to hire and keep. So there's 2 aspects to it. The first is onboarding, like Bill was talking about. And the second is once you onboard them, since everybody stays at my law firm and we barely have any turnover, how do you keep them? How do you make sure they stay, especially given the great resignation and the mobility of workers and everything that's going on that people want to leave, boredom, all these factors that lead to unhappy employees or people leaving. So that is a picture that's up there right now of one of my Christmas parties about a year ago, probably, when we maybe had 60 people, 65 people. I'm now up to almost 70 employees and 11 attorneys.
Ooh.
But once you've been here a while, you're proud to declare yourself a lifer. And a lifer is someone who says to me personally, Craig, when you retire, I'll retire. And I love to hear that. It's certainly not enforceable, but isn't it nice as a boss to hear someone say, I'm with you. I'm with you for the rest of your career because of you and because of the culture you created. So we have a lot of lifers in our office, and my entire leadership team of 6 people has all basically declared we're lifers. So that's pretty secure to have that. And one key that I've got to mention at the beginning is you've got to put a person in charge of people. We have a chief people officer. She was trained by the best HR company in the world called Walt Disney World. So she was HR at Disney, and I poached her from Disney. So who else better to hire than someone who had the best HR training in the world, which is Disney World. Now, we all may not be lucky enough to hire someone from Disney World, but definitely hire someone who has experience in HR. Please do not promote your paralegal to HR because she or he says, I think I'd be good at that. No. That's not what you do. And you probably don't want your spouse in HR because they will save you money and because they're good with people and because they want the job. So these aren't 2 rules in stone, but don't promote your paralegal and don't use your spouse for HR. Now, if you violated that rule, that's okay. I'm sorry for you, but it may not work out. Hire someone who's an expert in HR who comes from a company where they did HR. There's all types of levels of HR. The first level is your basic boring office manager. They cost about 50 grand, maybe 40 grand, depending on where you are. Then there's an HR specialist. Then there's an HR manager. Then there's what I have, which is a CPO, Chief People Officer. So when you get big, you need someone who has all kinds of business skills, all kinds of people skills. So my wonderful team leader has been with me about 10 years from Disney World, named Michelle. She's my Chief People Officer. So the point is you must have some intentionality in who you hire. So that's really important. If you think you manage people well, you're probably not being realistic with yourself. You were trained to be an attorney, which is the opposite of managing people well. So you're probably incorrect. Now, there are exceptions, but I'm not one of them. So when someone comes in and wants to give you a sob story about the missing work because of their kid, the lawyer's thinking, get to the point, I got stuff to do, right? You don't want to hear about their kid. Just be honest, you don't, you're busy. But your HR person loves hearing about their kid because they care and they're empathetic and they're high on the empathy scale. Please hire that person. So that's the first point. So I think there's several different points about hiring great employees. So Bill went over a few of them. Bill, did I advance the second slide?
Yeah, yep.
Great. So the first is how you hire. Now, Bill went over a lot of this, but these are the 5, I call them pillars, and I'm going to go over with this more carefully in Lakeland on February 17th or 18th. But the first thing is you've really got to think about the position and define it clearly. Bill talked about it, that you really actually have to think. So it's not just a boring paralegal. It's what goes into the paralegal job. It's what kind of personality type you might want in the paralegal job. So don't just post something and just start typing. Really work with the other people at your company and define the position clearly so that you know what it entails. And the best way to do that, if you have a person already in that position, like this may be you're hiring for a second person, is to ask that person, tell me what you do and write it down for me. Put it in an email. That way you can know what they do, because you probably don't know. Even if you have one of those, whatever they are, receptionist, paralegal, secretary, ask them, write it down, send me an email. What do you do? And now you can write the job position based on what the other person in that job already does. Next is create a compelling job posting. Bill talked about this. Don't put the boring words paralegal. Put dynamic paralegal or hybrid paralegal or super paralegal. I like that one, super paralegal wanted. We've put all kinds of funky stuff in our job ads that differentiates us from the boring old paralegal. We're recently hiring a videographer and a social media expert. You can have lots of fun in the first phrase if you're hiring a videographer or a social media expert in defining in the first sentence what you're looking for. That's a good example. So create a compelling job posting. We often do something like the first thing is a question. The question would be, do you want a place to work that's dynamic and growing quickly? I mean, that draws the reader in, because of course everybody wants a place that's dynamic and growing quickly. Or do you want a place to work that's been awarded best place to work in South Florida the last 3 years? That's my law firm. Best place to work, medium-sized law firm category the last 3 years in all of South Florida. Think of leading a job posting like that. Who's going to answer that? Yeah, of course I want to work at a place that's gotten awards for workplace culture. So work on and create a compelling job posting that's going to draw someone in. And it's going to say, oh my gosh, of course I want to work here. Number 3, develop and refine your interview process. This is so important to write it out. We specifically, I have Michelle, my chief people officer, interview the person first, even if it's a lawyer. Even if it's a lawyer, because I want her to define the work culture. I want her to tell everybody about our mission statement, our core values, and we have that on the wall of the interview room is our mission statement and core values. And we tell people at an interview, we hire based on these and we fire based on these, the core value and the mission statement. If you're not down with our mission statement, you do not belong here. So that's part of the interview process. It's carefully orchestrated. They meet our chief people officer first to see if they have the character and the culture that we want. If we interview a lawyer and he's offended that his first interview is with a chief people officer, he's not the right lawyer for my law firm. He doesn't get to meet me first. He gets to be told the culture of this company first. And if he thinks he's too good for that, or she, goodbye. Not interested, because culture is number one. I don't care if you're the best trial lawyer in the world. If you're an asshole and you throw staplers at people, you do not belong at my law firm. We do not hire asshole lawyers, period. And if it's a lawyer who thinks he's better than everybody else, you don't belong here. We want people who fit into our culture. So that's number 3. Define and refine your interview process. We carefully choose who goes first, who interviews them second, and I am last if I'm involved in that job position. And I only am involved in very few job positions hiring right now, only leadership team people. So define it, develop it, and refine it. Number 4, testing, testing, testing. We do a bunch of different testing depending on the job. We do the DISC test, D-I-S-C, Google it, great test. It's a personality test on every candidate for every job. It costs $65, but think about the cost to you if you hire the wrong person. Is that worth $65 on every candidate? It is to me. We do Colby test. We do the Hogan leadership test if it's in a leadership position. We actually have some writing and skills tests we do when the person has to write things. So our social media people, our content creators, they take writing and skills tests. We also do, there's the guy who won $100, Jay Henderson, on this call, Bill. He actually has a company we use on many of our hires called Real Talent. It's fairly priced. If you look up Real Talent, Jay Henderson, we use Jay on almost every candidate for any decent level position. So, and that's a different type of personality test, and it gives you warning signs. Like if don't listen to authority, or if in the test it comes out that they're not good with stress. Now, these are things that a DISC test or a Colby might not tell you. So I really like Jay Henderson. Jay, hello. And I like that real talent testing. So whatever test you use something. Use at least one. And then you'll find out that maybe there's a second one. I just mentioned 4 or 5 just now. Colby, Kolbe. Myers-Briggs is a really old one, but still a decent one. The DISC test, DISC. Jay Henderson, that's the Real Talent Company. Hogan for leadership. There's so many out there. Just choose one to start, see if you like it, but do testing. And what we do is we do testing before they come in. Some people only do it once after the first interview, but we can disqualify candidates. Actually disqualify candidates by doing it before they come in, especially the DISC. The DISC is the one we do pre-interview. So number 5, set them up for success with the job offer. If your job offer, our job offers are in an email, and then we follow it up with certain positions by an employment agreement. But the email, don't make the email, this will confirm you will start on this date. Here are the 3 terms, see you then. That's not exciting. No, the email does have to contain the start date, and it does have to contain all the terms of employment. But the first thing would be, congratulations. We are so excited to have you join our team. We are all excited to have you show up on June 1st. And then when they show up, we have a welcome basket for them on their desk that my office administrator creates, or her staff creates, with like a little welcome basket with all, perfume and, male or female, whatever appropriate gifts that goes on their desk with maybe a rose or a flower or something that a guy might like, whether it's a rose or flower or something else. But you walk into work and there's a gift on your desk the first day. I mean, that's the welcoming and detailed job offer that's told them they've made the right choice and that they're going to love it here. And then they show up and there's something on their desk that shows they're going to continue to love it here. Just a little couple pointers, just basic human stuff.